Goeiemôre Kongres. Vandag is definitief die afgelope 2 dae is definitief iets nuuts vir die boere van Suid-Afrika. Dit is 'n nuwe manier van kongres hou en dit is sekerlik ook die teken van verandering wat plaasgevind het as gevolg van COVID-19. Omdat ek nie kan sien met wie ek almal praat nie, wil ek sê dat alle protokolle is in ag geneem en dat ek graag met u vandag wil gesels, nie net wat in die jaarverslag staan nie, maar bietjie vorentoe wil kyk. Die pad van landbou vorentoe is sekerlik vol uitdagings en vol klippe. Dit beteken sekerlik dat 'n mens baie maklik moedeloos kan raak en dan gaan jou kreatiwiteit ook weg. As ons daarna wil kyk en ons wil praat daaroor, dan is daar 2 aanhalings wat vir my belangrik is. Socrates said, "The secret of change is to focus all our energy, not on fighting the old, but building the new." Dit beteken dat 'n mens moet proaktief wees, en proaktiwiteit in landbou bring risiko mee. Maar in die tydvlak van ons land, en landbou in Suid-Afrika, is dit absoluut belangrik dat ons proaktief moet wees. Die volgende aanhaling, het pas dan daarbij om te sê, good collaboration is when you are willing to sacrifice and throw out your view for something that is more cohesive. Hierdie aanhaling kan maklik mense se hare laat regop staan van ongemak. Want dit klink of ek sê dat alles onderhandelbaar is, wat byvoorbeeld nie so is nie. Ons kan nooit wegstap van privaat eiendomsreg nie, want dit is die bousteen van goeie ekonomie en die bousteen van landbou. Maar wat beteken dit dan? Dit beteken dat ons na mekaar moet luister en dat ons strategieë moet volg, dat ons die prosesse vorentoe op so 'n manier plooi dat dit tot voordeel van landbou is. Daarvoor moet ons na mekaar luister om daardie beste strategieë te kan ontwerp, te kan implementeer om sodoende privaat eiendomsreg te hou. Die na mekaar luister is een van die moeiliker dinge, want dit kan maklik ontaard in wantroue. Om dit reg te kry, gaan groot leierskap en georganiseerde landbou vereis. Nie net by Agri SA nie, maar van die laagste vlak by ons landbouverenigings, deur die prosesse van ons provinsies en al die pad by Agri tot by Agri SA. Dit sluit ook die kommoditeite in, en dit sluit ook die korporatiewe kamer se lede in, om te sê dat ons sinergie moet kry om hierdie reg te kry. As ons na hierdie aangeleentheid kyk, en dan mens sê vir myself, waaroor gaan georganiseerde landbou dan? Dit gaan daaroor dat ons die uitdagings wat ons moet bestuur, en soms buite ons beheer is, tot voordeel van landbou wil plooi, en ons boere in posisie plaas om op hulle plase te bly. It's not only what we do, but also what we do not do, for which we will be accountable. Our work in organized agriculture has 4 basic characteristics. Namely, we must concern ourselves with the crucial issues which are central to our success. We have to advance Agri SA's mission. We enable farmers and ensure its long-term welfare. And when we talk about enabling farmers, we're talking about all farmers. We're talking about smallholders that farm, that make a living out of farming. We're talking about family farms. We're talking about corporate farms. So we have to be involved with agricultural development. We have to understand that we have to be accessible and accountable to all farmers. We must be driven by results and by a timetable. We must have clear measures of success. We must engage Agri-SA's internal and external constituencies. Easy to answer who the internal constituencies are. Those are the farmers through our provincial structures, the commodities through our commodity organizations, as well as the corporate members that are all involved in the agricultural value chain. We have to understand furthermore that I want to use an example, a practical example of collaboration. During the past few months, the whole issue of the export of live sheep and live animals from South Africa was in the news for quite a while. The farmers of the Eastern Cape, under the leadership of Agri Eastern Cape, recognized a new market for sheep as well as cattle. But those exports will have to be live animals, and they brought this to the commodity chamber to be able to negotiate amongst ourselves and all the stakeholders whether this was something that we should pursue. Now we're talking about collaboration. It is also a fact that this was not an easy road. Our commodity chamber, where the different commodities had to listen and decide what the impacts would be on commodities that had nothing to do with the red meat industry. It also had the result of court cases, because we were in a position of conflict with the national SPCA. We had to convince people and stakeholders that the ships that were used were of the right standard. We also wanted to send a delegation over to Dubai and the Emirates to see what our animals would look like when they get off that ship, because nobody has had the experience of transporting live animals over the equator. COVID-19 actually restricted the traveling arrangements of our delegation to be able to go there to see what it looked like. So the ship was inspected to verify whether this was compliant to OIE standards, which it was. Those animals were transported and loaded, and we're looking forward, as far as the enabling of farmers are concerned, for a new market that will make sense, and also not only for the Eastern Cape, but also for the Southern Free State, as well as the Western Cape. It's creating opportunities for farmers, for new farmers, developing farmers, and the last ship had already 20% of sheep from those farmers. So we're looking at empowerment too, and enabling of new farmers. If we look at it and we analyze it a bit further, the quality of those sheep and cattle is also being looked at it, as well as extension services, because this means that new rams, the genetics must be looked at to be able to help our new farmers to produce cattle and sheep that the consumer wants. Now, if we as farmers look at this and we say, okay, this was now truly enabling of agriculture for new farmers, creating market for existing farmers, giving us the opportunity to collaborate with each other, and in such a way to build our country to new heights. Another example is also safety and security. Almal in Suid-Afrika is verskriklik bekommerd oor die gevalle van plaasmoorde, kriminaliteit in die breë. Ons het in die laaste paar maande het Tommy Esterhuise en Kobus Visser reg gekry om hierdie op 'n baie goeie manier onder die aandag van die regering te kry. Die geleentheid om saam te werk, om te kyk na die probleem, dat daar spesiale aandag aan gegee word, en ek wil hulle gelukwens vir die groot poging wat aangewend is. This also applies to the Eastern Cape, as far as we talked about the sheep and the live transport at new markets. Again, the President of the Eastern Cape, Douglas Stern, Vice President Peter Kloete, the staff at the Eastern Cape, Brent McNamara, and other people made a massive contribution towards making this possible. This is how we collaborate to make things work for agriculture. The land issue is another thing that comes to mind, another very important issue. During the last year and before, this whole issue of expropriation without compensation was big news. Parliament is discussing it, there's been debates, there's been public hearings. Everybody has had the opportunity to make a contribution towards this, whether our constitution should change or not. We believe in Agri SA that we have a contribution to make, in the sense that we have to, if we want to keep private property rights, we'll have to become part and parcel of a system that will make new farmers possible for new farmers to enter a business that is capital intensive, it's technologically intensive, it's management intensive, but we have to be able to make opportunities for new farmers to enter agriculture. Therefore, we have a new company called Agri SA Enterprises, Pty Limited. This company is going to be involved in empowerment, because empowerment is a business term. It's not only social empowerment, it's also economic empowerment. And that we farmers in South Africa have a contribution to make it work. It does not fit into a business of interest, because it involves large amounts of money and it involves different skill sets that is not available in the traditional business of interest structures. It also meant that we had to devise a new structure, and this is then Agri SA Enterprises. Agri SA Enterprises has been involved during the past year, specifically with the Motsepe Foundation, in the whole issue of how can we actually make agriculture work in communal areas. The focus then is on development. And as I said in the beginning, this is also enabling of farmers. We have to be in a position that we can focus, that we can devise systems to make this a reality. Because if we are not successful in that, we will put our position of private property rights in danger. We must have, for new farmers, the same wants and the same needs as all other farmers in South Africa. I must say that I want to thank Omri van Zyl, who was the Managing Director of Agri SA, for his choice to take the risk to be the new CEO of Agri SA Enterprises. There is nobody in South Africa that is doing this specifically. And our business, Agri SA and Agri SA Enterprises, is to make this possible. And of course, there is a lot of risk involved in it, and that we will also look at joint ventures in the outside the traditional communal areas, as well as joint ventures inside. We'll have to make use of our commodities as well as our corporate members to assist. We will have to make these projects bankable. We must put our farmers and our members in a position where they can actually make a contribution towards agricultural development. Now, if we look at what happened in the sheep industry, of the export of sheep, you can understand that this is much more difficult. But we do not have a choice. We'll have to make this work, and we are going to make it work. We are going to collaborate with our primary constituencies, which are the farmers. We're going to keep them up to date of how this is going. We'll have to collaborate with government so that they have confidence in what we're doing or what we're trying to do. And that means that we will have to be absolutely open of our strategies, of how we're going to do this. It must be measurable. There must be a timetable. And we'll have to look at how we are going to make this definitely work. Now, it's a daunting task because in the last 100 years, not many successive governments could not get this right. So it's become part of the agricultural sector, the primary agricultural sector, and all the stakeholders that are involved in it to be able to make this right so that we can move forward. I also want to congratulate Christa van der Rede, who's now taken over the job of Managing Director of Agri SA. We wish him luck. We are going to work together. We are going to work together with Agri SA Enterprises. We are going to make a very concerted effort to make sure that through the value chain that Agri SA makes a contribution towards the solving of this whole issue of the entrance of new farmers into agriculture. Lastly, I want just to say there's something else. We need spiritual guidance too, because to do this is not possible just for men and women with all our weaknesses. In Exodus 18, verse 21, the following is said: "Select from all the people some capable, honest men who fear God and hate bribes. Appoint them as leaders." Ladies and gentlemen, it's important that we heed this and that we understand our future is dependent on how we are going to collaborate and work with each other through the value chain to be able to make this a reality. If we wanted to put a time frame on it, we'll have to do it in the next year. We'll have to be confident that we can come forward with plans and strategies that will make all this possible. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'm sure that this coming year we'll have a good one. We farmers always say that the next year will be the best. This one is going to be the best, not only as far as primary agriculture is concerned, but also to answer the question, the most important question in South Africa and agriculture. How are we going to make it possible for new farmers to enter agriculture in a successful manner? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to address Congress. Thank you very much for listening to me. Hopefully we will be able to solve this problem this year. We have to do that on behalf of farmers as well as our country.